Yeah, all good?
Yeah, all good, man. All good.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Outlaw Picks podcast. Today, we are sponsored by Packed Coffee. So, before we get into things, Jamie, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad,
you well?
man.
Good weekend?
It was great,
Bristol, hanging out in Bristol,
Yeah.
looking at the museums, having a good time.
Really good
UFC
place.
London,
Yep.
standout performances.
Makaev
Yep.
and Tom Aspinall.
And Tom Aspinall. And Molly's finish, of course,
Yeah, of
because you've already
course,
mentioned
yeah,
that,
yeah.
because that was like something out of
Yeah.
a Jackie Chan movie or something.
But
It's beautiful.
debut, Makaev, and then Aspinall.
So strong.
Yeah.
So strong. And I was amazed with Tom Aspinall, just how comfortable he was. Like, framing on his face and, like, looking up and just kind of, like, checking the time and looking at his corner. And he looked like he was beating up an inferior sparring partner. I was just so impressed with him. Anyway, right. Today we are brought to you by Packed Coffee. Make Packed to make better coffee. If you haven't tried Packed Coffee yet, we'll help you get started with 50% off your first and third order when you create a new Packed plan. So go to packedcoffee.com, that's P-A-C-T coffee.com, and create a flexible coffee subscription. So if you enter the code Outlawed50 at checkout, you'll get the discount off the first and third order. This is specialty coffee straight through your letterbox. It is awesome. I have it every morning now. They also do it pre-ground as well. So depending on whether you have cafetiere or machine or AeroPress, which is how we brew coffee in this house. If I've not got time to do the whole big pot thing, I like my kettle and everything, Jamie. Anyway, however you brew your coffee, they will pre-grind it for you, so it's ready to go when it arrives. So don't wait. Go to packedcoffee.com and create your coffee subscription. So the code is valid when you create a Packed Coffee plan and for new customers. It's pretty awesome. So you can get it ground, it arrives, you whack it straight in the AeroPress, bit of water, and within 10 minutes, you're already on the way out the door, Jamie. It is awesome stuff. And also Full Reptile. We're brought to you by Full Reptile. So fullreptile.co.uk. We have got the very last few Roughhouse t-shirts left. All the sweatshirts are gone.
Really? Already?
Yes. All the sweatshirts are gone. And we have a new drop coming this week, this Mother's Day, which I'll be hinting at later in the week. We've already taken photos of it, Jamie, and you very much liked it. He's going to steal one. Anyway, let's get on track. Go to fullreptile.co.uk and grab the last of the walkout shirts before they're all gone. All good?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, wicked. Right, let's get into this. This is a bit of a sleeper card because it's between UFC London, which is like a pay-per-view, and a pay-per-view. So it's a bit lost, but there's some really interesting ones on this one. So I'm on Tapology, and I've got Luis Saldaña against Bruno Souza first. What are your thoughts on this one, Jamie?
Well, I like Luis Saldaña.
Yeah.
He's a very slick, diverse striker. Well, he just seems to have a bit of a wide range in his game, especially his striking game anyway.
Yeah.
And every time I've watched him, I just find him a really entertaining person to watch as well. He does leave himself open a little bit, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Lingo always does find your chin if you do kind of leave you. The thing is, Lingo just pushed forward so much that Luis Saldaña didn't have enough pop in his punches to really slow him down. Like when you've seen him, on the Contender Series when he fought Murdoch, that front kick to the face was very, very slick. But that's a very, very rare kick to land. He throws it a lot. He usually throws it to the body. My concern with him in this one is that he's against someone that's like another. Souza's like a karate style, isn't he? He's like kind of hanging outside, and like leaping in with a 1-2,
like that Wonder Boy kind of. Yeah, like kind of side stance. Yeah. Like he doesn't use the side kick as much as. No,
it's pretty much a 1-2.
Yeah,
like that's pretty much what he does. But something I did notice when he fought, what's his name? Hang on a minute, I'm gonna pull it up now. Melsik Bagdasaryan. Like, I actually looked at the stats for that one because for me it felt a lot closer than the stats have it. Like the stats have Bruno Souza being outstruck quite considerably. Yeah, I've got it pulled up here. So significant strikes for Bagdasaryan was 75 and Bruno Souza was 46. But like, I thought a few times he looked like he was landing really good, meaningful shots. And I don't remember anything really landing that troubled him too much. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know whether it's like his style's difficult to score because it's a bit like Machida. You know what I mean? Like Machida's like that. Like I always this is a point I've made before, and it's something that I always try to keep in mind when I was training or when I'm like talking to other fighters. Like, you can be a guard player, like Paul Craig, for example. Paul Craig is a great guard player. Unfortunately, though, in the judges' eyes, you're losing until you win. And it's the same with counter-striking. Like, Machida was always on the back foot, but even if he was picking them off and moving and not getting hit too much, sometimes the judges would score it against him because the other opponent was pushing forward.
Right.
And that's my concern with Bruno Silva, is sometimes the judges might overlook some of the really clean shots that he's landing because he's in, bam, bam, and then back out and moving away, and it doesn't necessarily look like he's landed cleanly. But like, if you watch, I watched that one. I watched it double speed and I watched it half speed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I was interested to see what I saw differently if I watched it at the two speeds.
Is it like like Mads' style, that Philly shell?
Good point. Yeah.
Like, it looks like you're getting hit, but you're not.
Yeah. Robbie Lawler, same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, Robbie Lawler will stand against the fence. Well, he's southpaw, isn't he? Stand against the fence and just roll stuff off his head and his shoulders and stuff. Like, James Toney was one that was famous for that style, and it's a really difficult style to do. Mayweather does it really well. Like, you'll see that lead elbow kind of coming up. In fact, Brian Ortega does it as well.
Right.
And if you watch that first elbow that he clips Frankie Edgar with, he's actually a guard position. He lifts the elbow up and cracks him with it. It's quite nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, very much so. It's a difficult style to score because it still looks like you're getting hit, even though you're like deflecting a lot of the shots. Like, it's a useful style to use if you know you're going to get inside and knock them out with a couple of punches. Not a good style for me because I was never that kind of fighter. You know, Paul Daly could have done that one really well because he's a naturally really powerful puncher. You know, like Robbie Lawler, again, suits his style because he's a naturally powerful puncher. So he can use it to like take the risk of walking inside and taking 10 shots to land 3 that's going to clean their clock. Yeah. I'm kind of split down the fence on this one because the thing is, like, Bruno Souza moves very, very quickly through range, and there's a lot of time when Luis Saldaña is kind of standing on one leg, and like I just feel like Bruno Souza might catch him standing upright a bit too much. Might keep pinging him with that 1-2.
Well, the one thing I noticed about Saldaña as well, I think, what fight was it against Griffin, Jordan Griffin? He was smashing those low kicks as well. Yeah, and I feel like with Bruno's style, like quite heavy on the lead leg, if he can just keep chipping that away, you'll just slow him down. And that was my thinking anyway.
That's
what
shout.
He could like take him out with, like low kicks.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I mean, that's certainly going to change his speed, covering distance, his ability to move forward. Let me have a look at the tail of the tape for these boys. So they're both tall for 145, 5'11" and 5'10". So Saldaña's got a 1-inch height advantage, but a 3-inch reach advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Saldaña. I just think he's in. I find him an entertaining fighter to watch as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think it's very close. I think like Bruno. Like, so what's the difference in fight? So there's 5 wins and 5 losses difference. So there's a 10-fight difference in Saldaña, but it's like a 50-50 kind of. I could very much see Bruno Souza's next 10 fights giving him the same kind of record. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I could see them kind of falling into the same rhythms and stuff. I'm going to pick Saldaña as well. You're leaning towards Saldaña, right? Yeah. I'm going to pick Saldaña as well. I do agree he's got a more varied style. I do like that front kick up the center for someone that does rush forward very quickly.
He hit in his contender for the Murdoch. He hit him once. And then he hit me twice with it as well, like just to make sure.
Just to make sure. Yeah. I think it's a good one though. It's good. Souza seemed to kind of melt Bagdasarian's head for a minute because of how he moves. He was like a bit like couldn't get a proper target on him. Difficult guy to deal with. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. So now I'll be honest. This fight's changed already, hasn't it? So
is this the Khizriev?
Yeah, Khizriev against Denis Tiuliulin.
I didn't even bother to try.
Tiuliulin. Well, I don't know what's going on at the moment, whether it's due to the current political climate, but they seem to be matching Russian fighters against one another quite a lot. because Khizriev was already matched up against another Russian fighter, wasn't he?
Oh, right. Magomedov.
Yeah. Magomedov. I haven't had a look at Denis Tiuliulin because I can very much see how this has been matched. Like, he looks like, I mean...
He's very powerful.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of KOs on his record.
Yeah.
And they're all like round 1 or round 2.
Yeah. But then his losses are submissions or split decisions. Like, I mean, he's got 1 TKO loss, but he's lost by Rinnick, choke, which is perfect for Khizriev. He lost by Kimura in his most recent loss on Brave 41. He looks like a real handful. And like, if you think back to Khizriev's fight on the Contender Series, it looked like he was ready to against Sugimoto. Like, it looked like he came out looking like he was ready to trade, and all of a sudden, Sugimoto just started throwing shit at him, and he was like, "No." And there was a scramble, and he just jumped on his back immediately, and like the process of him, it was like 1 hook, 2 hooks, and then he just punched the arm through, and it was in before he even got a chance to try and defend it.
Yeah, it's like a bear on top of him.
Right?
It's crazy. Yeah,
I think they've just matched him to do the same thing again. Like, this is going to be a very familiar circumstance for him. He's been fighting on Fight Night Global. He's been dealing with monsters like Husamar Palhares. Like, do you remember Husamar Palhares?
I don't know.
He might be before your UFC time. He was notorious for, well, I mean, he got into bad books because he didn't let go of submissions.
Right. Okay.
He attack like heel hooks and stuff and really try and snap the leg. That was the reason why Emil Met got in the UFC, is because he beat Palhares.
Ah, right. Okay.
That was a big deal because nobody wanted to fight this motherfucker. He was like 230 pounds of steroids.
Jeez.
And horse meat. It was just, honestly, he just didn't look right. He should have been probably a welterweight, but he was on so many steroids and he was fucking huge, and he was just incredibly powerful, and no one wanted to fight him. He was a nightmare. But then this guy's got a ground and pound finish over Palhares in a minute, so that puts him in very good books. And then, like I said, against Sugimoto, like, immediately it was like, oh shit, okay, fuck it.
Yeah, it was so quick, wasn't it?
Didn't even break a sweat.
It was pretty impressive, and he's getting unbeaten as well. Like,
yeah, like effortlessly unbeaten.
Yeah.
Loads of first rounders. I mean, what's he had? A couple of decisions. So it's good to know that he can go 3 rounds.
Yeah, I think he's just got to like close Denis down.
Yeah,
and like avoid that power.
Just choke him out again. Yeah. He looks like a handful, but it just looks to me like this has been matched ideally for him to come and do what he does. Like, it's a very similar kind of matchup to who he had before, Magomed, who's 24-4.
Well, he's had. I was just looking at his record now. He's actually had like quite a lot of cancelled, because he was set up to fight Chris Daukaus
and Diakiese,
yeah,
and Turman. Jeez, he has had a lot of cancelled fights.
So either
people are changing their minds.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's like all of his fights in 2021 were cancelled. Why were they though? Turman withdrew. Oh, cancelled due to COVID. And Khizriev. Oh, so he withdrew from Diakiese. Interesting. I wonder why. Oh, I think he's going to choke this guy in about 60 seconds.
I had Khizriev. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's the emergence of another undefeated monster that can just maul people and take their back and choke them out. Scary. Okay. David Dvořák against Matheus Nicolau.
I think this is going to be a wicked fight.
Yeah.
Just based off like both their styles. It'd be very like fast paced, high pace fight. And Dvořák is on a 16 fight win streak as well. He looked they both look really impressive. Like, Nicolau looked really good against Cap and Elliott as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I think this is going to be like a super high level battle.
Definitely. Agreed. Dvořák made his debut on that same show that V fought on in Brasilia. He fought Bruno Silva, the guy with the spiky sunglasses.
Was that the Oliveira Kevin Lee card?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah. He looked really good. He won a unanimous decision. And it was like you couldn't have been any further out of your comfort zone in that kind of circumstance. Like, they didn't know whether the show was going to go on.
Yeah.
They didn't know whether they were going to get fucking COVID. They didn't know whether there was going to be a crowd or not. Like, the whole arena was divided up. They had to get their hands wrapped and warmed up at the hotel and then be driven to the arena. It was a really, really odd circumstance, and he just overcame all of it. I was really impressed with him on that night, and he's just gotten better and better. I mean, he reminds me a little bit of Arnold Allen in the way that he takes risks.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of sometimes lunges forward a little bit, but when he's patient, he's very good at that in and out motion, same as Nicolau is. And Nicolau's got really good takedown defense, as we saw against Tim Elliott. So you've got to think this is most likely going to be a striking match. And any time there is a closing down and an exchange in grappling, it's going to be really quick. Like, Dvořák's going to be trying to throw stuff at him while Nicolau's trying to defend his takedowns and stay on his feet. I think it might be it might steal the show, this one. I think it might be a fight of the night.
Nicolau's had a stint in the UFC before as well, hasn't he? Because was he on Tough? Yeah, he was on Tough.
Yeah.
Then he only lost one and then left or got cut. And then had a couple of fights outside, and then since he's come back, he's had two really tough fights as well, like Tim Elliott and Allskhab. Pretty high level competition.
And you look at the guys he's fought as well. So he was on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil season 4. So he got a rear naked choke and a decision win, and then he lost to Danilo Lopez.
Ah, right, yeah.
And then he came into UFC Fight Night 77 and won by a Japanese necktie, which is a very, very rare submission to see. Split decision over John Moraga, which is a very impressive win in my book, and a unanimous over Louis Smolka. Lost to Dustin Ortiz and then was released. And then he went to Future FC and won by Darce, and then he went to Brave and won a decision, and then came back and fought Allskhab. And he's had 2 decision wins here, Allskhab and Tim Elliott. And in the Tim Elliott fight, he looked very comfortable managing distance against someone that's really chaotic. I think Nicolau's going to try and pace this fight out and allow Dvořák to come to him. And Dvořák takes a lot of risks, but I do feel like he's going to be able to get to him.
Yeah,
I'm picking Dvořák in this one.
I did pick Dvořák. I do. The one thing that impressed me with Nicolau as well is because Tim Elliott was like provoking him quite a lot in that fight as well, and he managed to keep like a pretty level head, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's the kind of person who would get drawn into a fight. Yeah, but I just think Dvořák's just a little bit more. It's just a little bit sharper. Just from watching them both earlier on, I just found Dvořák, and he's on a really like good trajectory as well. Yeah, I think he might just take it.
Yeah, it's just my only concern for him are the little back steps that Nicolau takes, back steps that forces his opponent to step forward, and then there's a counter combination waiting for him, because that's where Dvořák kind of sees his opportunities and like really kind of throws hard, and where he's most at risk, especially because he's moving forward at such a pace. I'm picking Dvořák, but I am a bit. I think it is a really tough fight for both of them, and I think I might be surprised.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be surprised.
I'm gonna go for Dvořák as well.
Yeah. Now, this next one, in my eyes, seems like it's going to be a first round knockout.
Yeah.
Like, do you see it any other way?
Well,
I like Gutiérrez, and I do think he's got a lot of potential. But this is just not a very good matchup for him because he does get hit quite a lot. You know?
Yeah. Because I was watching Batgerel earlier, and he is such a big hitter. Like, his left hook is insane. And
what's he on? Is it 3-4 first round finishes now?
Yeah, because what was his debut against Alateng Haley?
Yeah, I called that fight, and he kind of got like a bit fried with the guy's movement. He was like in and out and level changing, and
yeah, I
don't think he's going to get that kind of fight from Gutiérrez.
I did find Gutiérrez pretty impressive because he stopped Vince Morales with low kicks.
Yeah,
they were brutal. Like both of his legs. Yeah. So he was switching the stance, and because obviously Vince was switching the stance because of his leg, it was just chopping him down.
I'm dehydrated. My concern for Gutiérrez is that he's going to leave his head on the center line. Fuck, still bad. He's going to leave his head on the center line while he's kicking.
Right.
And Batgerel only needs one shot. It goes back to what we were talking about with Lawler earlier, with the Philly shell. Like, Batgerel can walk his way into range and take a couple of low kicks and a few shots because most likely Gutiérrez is not going to stop him. But if he lands, he only needs one shot to knock him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is set up for a first round knockout for Batgerel. I really do.
Yeah, I'd like to make an argument for Gutiérrez because I have picked him.
I mean, go on, man. I'm all for you.
I just thought because the one I know Gutiérrez probably won't try and wrestle him, but he struggled against Alating Hay because that's the only fight he's lost, and I think because he closed the distance and put pressure on him. I don't think Gutiérrez is going to do that, but I think if there's a way that he can beat him, it might be that or just those low kicks. Yeah. Because if he's a big like power puncher, if you can just take that away from him on his lead leg, you might before it's not too late and he doesn't get knocked out. But I figured if that was the way Gutiérrez was going to win, that could be it. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that's where the calf kick makes it even more interesting because like it's shortened that amount of time that you need to be vulnerable to a power puncher. Like if I'm fighting a guy that's got heavy hands and my goal is to deaden his legs to take that power away, and I know I need to land 10 leg kicks to do it, I'm available for a lot longer than I am if I need 3 calf kicks.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if Gutiérrez nails a couple of calf kicks on Batgerel and he just starts to get laboured on that lead leg, then he's not going to be as able to wade forward with those power punches. The thing that Gutiérrez has got to watch out for, though, is when he's attacking. Because like Batgerel's last fight against Brandon Davis, he caught him with that long right hook and like dropped him against the fence. Yeah. Like that, him travelling forward with that long right hand, that's the ideal thing for Gutiérrez to damage with that low kick because he has to plant on that lead leg to throw that power punch. But his other 2 knockouts have been his left hook, and they've been his opponent moving onto it, and he's just got really nice timing just turning it onto their chin. Like for me, Gutiérrez takes a lot of risks. He leaves his chin kind of out and available, and he gets hit quite a lot. And if he gets a bit overzealous and a bit confident at any point and starts travelling forward, he's walking right into that counter left hook. I think that's the most dangerous thing for him. I do agree with you though. If his lead leg, if he can attack that lead leg, then absolutely. I just think Batgerel's going to get to him.
Yeah, it's hard like
it's
not
scary
to
power,
see it.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that Brandon Davis one as well. So I watched it early, and he was pretty much out as soon as he hit him, and I think if the fence wasn't behind him, he wouldn't have like bounced back and stayed up as long as he did. But
he'd have fallen flat. Yeah. I mean, and the Guido Canetti one, where he just like turned him and just dropped him on the spot.
Yeah,
he's got wicked power. Alating Haley is that win gets even more impressive, by the day.
Yeah,
because he was coming in on a streak as well. Was he on a 5-fight win streak coming in, all stoppages, strikes first round, strikes second round, knee to the body, and a rear naked choke.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna back Gutiérrez. I like his style. I just found that at some point. I found that Vince Morales fight, just the way he like totally broke him down from it was just impressive, and he wasn't like rushing with it. He was very patient, and because Herzog, there was a couple of times where he was like going to jump in and stop, but he was let it go on. And his legs by the end of it were just shot.
Yeah.
It's same as a body shot. It's like you're witnessing to your demise.
About it, yeah. Can't do anything about it. You're feeling the fight slip away from you.
Yeah.
And it's like, it gets to the point where it's a pain that you can't not react to as well.
Mm. Yeah, it's something you can't like not show to your opponent. Yeah.
Okay, so we're opposite ways on that one. Okay, right. Sara McMann against Karol Rosa. I always think Sara McMann struggles with confident punchers.
Right.
Like, whenever she's fighting someone that's happy just to kind of walk forward and just throw heavy hands and just deal with whatever presents itself, it almost always forces McMann into wrestling. If she's got someone that's quite happy to strike or grapple, then it's a different thing. But Karol Rosa, I think, is going to be happy to push forward and just defend what Sara McMann does and put her under pressure straight away. I don't think she's going to... Yeah. What are you saying on this one? I
had Karol. Yeah. I think she's like... Well, I think Sara McMann's kind of found herself in that like gatekeeper role in the division.
Yeah.
And I think Karol Rosa's on her way up. Like, she's got some really good wins since she's joined. Like Batgerel is another one of those people that's like a test for everyone in that division, and she came to that. Jocelyn Edwards is a really good win. She looked really good in that, and I think she's just overall a better all round MMA fighter than Sara McMann.
Yeah.
I had Karol. Yeah.
I think Sara has the potential to beat everybody that she fights. I think the thing that she lacks is the confidence to apply her skills well. Like, she's an excellent wrestler, but you can tell when she's forced into wrestling. Like when she fought Nunes, she wanted no part of it. She was like forced into a wrestling game almost immediately. I think the same thing's gonna happen here. I think she's gonna panic and shoot, and I think Rosa's gonna defend one takedown, defend two takedowns, and then McMahon's going to find herself up against the fence, and Rosa's going to be on her case.
Yeah,
I think Rosa by decision.
Yeah,
I think Sara McMahon's someone I would like to learn from. Like, she's got a really good skill set for MMA, and I think she'll make an excellent coach. But I think the pressure of learning striking and adapting to striking at the point that she did in her career, she just never took to it. And some wrestlers don't. Like, you know, some people who are career wrestlers, like, that's what's most impressive for me about Usman, is the way that he's not only developed his striking game, but he's happy to apply it against really good strikers like Masvidal. I've never seen that from Sara McMann. Like, Koscheck was another one. Like, he was a really strong wrestler he was in the rankings back when I was fighting, and he got so comfortable with striking that he almost neglected his wrestling entirely, and that's how GSP beat him. But he got really effective with his striking as well.
Yeah, so it's like, because you've got that in your locker.
Yeah,
you don't focus it on it as much.
That's it. Kind of neglected it. Like, I mean, he thought that GSP was never going to try and take him down. That was his mindset, and of course, you know, like, wrestling for MMA is very different. Koscheck was a great wrestler. I'm sure he is still a great wrestler. But yeah, he got very comfortable. I mean, Chandler's the same as well. Gaethje, another one, you know, good wrestlers that just, like, they use their wrestling as like that foundation. And I never felt like Sara McMann developed her game to that point.
Right.
Like, the thing is, like, if you're a good wrestler, you've got that middle piece. So if you go, okay, I'm a really good wrestler, so now I'm going to learn grappling because I've got the wrestling so now I can finish people with my wrestling skills, right?
Yeah.
You've still got to get to the point where you can get them into that new skill set where you finish. If you're a wrestler and you learn striking, then you can fuck with striking as long as you want, and then you've got wrestling if you need it. But if you have to go through wrestling to get to grappling, and your first 3 takedowns are stuffed, then your game is very vulnerable because you haven't bolstered the first part. You know what I mean? It's like 3 ranges that you go through. You know, you need something at the first range with confidence, and I don't think she's ever really had that. Not ever. And I don't know why. I mean, some people maybe just don't take to striking necessarily, but it's a shame because I think she's got a lot to offer the division. Good testing for these fighters, but I think Karol Rosa comes through this test.
Do you think, like, is it a bit of a like a physical or physiology thing as well? It's like you just don't. Technically, you're not very good at throwing punches or kicks.
I think maybe, yeah. I think maybe, but I think, to be honest, if as long as the person that wants to learn is approaching it the right way and has got the right instruction, I think everybody can learn how to strike.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, I think everyone will have a different kind of like flair on it. There'll be a style based on whether you're 6'5" or 4'2" or what, you know. But Sara McMann's a good athlete. Like, there's no reason why she can't adapt that to a striking skill set. And I don't think she's like, if you saw her hitting pads, I would imagine she looks pretty crisp. I think really generally it's in her head. I think she lacks the confidence to go, you know what, I'm just going to step forward with this right hand and smack you in the face. Maybe she lacks a bit of venom.
Yeah.
A bit of fuck you. Maybe that's what she needs. But Karol Rosa's got bucket loads of fuck you.
Yeah.
So she's ranked number 12 at the moment, and Sara McMann is ranked number 9. So there's a lot to be gained in for Karol Rosa. I think she's going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. That's settled. Right. Who we got next?
Slava Claus.
Where's Slava Claus? Yeah. Oh, this is a rough one for Marc Diakiese.
Yeah.
Like, Marc Diakiese is a great fighter. Very, very slick. Like, effortlessly powerful. You know, he's like, can be quite high on his toes and very snappy. Like, remember that knockout over Teemu Packalén where he just kind of like fell stiff.
Yeah.
Like, he's got that potential. But then you think back to his fight against Haqparast, and he got kind of pushed around and bullied. And I think that he might have a good start in this one, and then it might slip away from him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Borschev is... But I like the look of him. I think his fight against his last fight against Dakota Bush, he seemed to deal with the high pace of Dakota. Like, never really like got overwhelmed by it, and just, I think if he can close that distance as well, so Diakiese can't like land his kicks and use that range, I think he might be able to close him down and just use his boxing, boxing, like heavy, good head movement and stuff. Yeah.
I wouldn't even be surprised if we see him grapple a bit in this one as well. I mean, like, both of his fights, Chris Duncan and Dakota Bush, the two that we've seen in the UFC, are similar in the way that he was struggling and he was under pressure, and then he turned the fight around. And I can very much see that happening here. Like, I can see Diakiese like outstriking him for a bit, and maybe even catching him with a couple of good shots, and he looks a little bit kind of rocked, and he might close the distance and be able to take him down and hold him and control him. Then the second round starts, and Diakiese's like, right, back on the feet, comes out, starts throwing a few shots, and then bang, walks onto something. Like that liver shot that he landed against Dakota Bush. That's, I mean, Diakiese's got some abs on him. He's got some rock hard, like 800 sit-ups a day kind of abs, but that's still going to get through.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think Slava Claus is going to do it. Yeah. I'd love to pick for Diakiese because he's rocking the red mohawk, but I don't know. I just think he's problematic, isn't he? That Slava Claus.
Yeah, he's a little bit unpredictable. It doesn't strike you as like someone who's gonna like get loads of finishes, like flashy finishes and stuff like that. But like every time I've watched him, he's looked wicked, and he was like that Dakota Bush fight. He did seem like he was probably losing that fight until he got that finish. But like I said, he never really seemed to like get overwhelmed or like. And at time, I thought he was playing a little bit of possum as well.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of wobbling a little bit, but then all of a sudden he just switched it on. He was like back to pressuring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think Borshev's going to do it, and Diakiese's under pressure as well because he's on a losing streak, isn't he?
Yeah,
2 losses in a row now.
I like Diakiese. His style's wicked.
Yeah,
cool to watch.
It might have just have been a tiny bit too early for him coming into the UFC, you know.
Diakiese.
Yeah. I mean, he signed. He had his first fight was 9-0, 10-0 coming in. That's early. That's early. Not everybody's ready for it, especially because he's still. I mean, he's 29. He's still got plenty of time. Might have just been a little bit too soon for him to really. Well, the other thing as well is he did move teams. You know, he was with a different team in the UK, and then when he signed with the UFC, I think he moved to ATT.
Right.
I don't know whether he's moved back or not now, but didn't seem to suit him. Sometimes being one of the top 3 or 4 guys on the mat, you know, with all the focus of the coaches, is better than being in a massive gym with, 40 prospects around you.
Yeah.
It's different for different people, you know. Or you could be Yuri Prochazka and you just headbutt trees in the forest. Fucking madness. I love it. Who knows what's going to happen next? Okay. So where are we?
Borschev. I'm gonna go for.
We're
Borschev.
going Borschev.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on then. Neil Magny against Max Griffin.
Wicked fight.
Really good fight. I always underestimate Max Griffin.
Yeah.
Every time I do, because he had a rough stint, didn't he? I mean, he's been a bit up and down in the UFC as far as his career goes. He's been in for a while though. Made his debut against Covington. That's a bit rough.
Yeah. I'm surprised this fight's not on the main card, to be honest.
Yeah, is it like a featured prelim? Is it in a spot on the card where
it's like the co-main prelim?
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird. Someone knows what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. Someone does.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean about Max. Like,
I just always underestimate him.
Yeah,
I always underestimate him. He's got like this kind of. He's someone that doesn't look very good at striking, and no matter how much he trains, it doesn't look like he's ever going to look like Floyd Mayweather. You know, he's never going to look super slick. Some people have just got a rhythm for it. You know, like you just watch some people strike, and you're like, okay, that suits you.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it suits Max Griffin. It doesn't mean he's not effective with it, but it just doesn't look like it suits him very much.
Yeah.
But he surprised me against Song Kenan. I didn't pick him to win that. I thought that Song Kenan was going to smash him because he's got really heavy hands. And then coming off a win over Condit as well, a decision win over Condit, who's always a tough test. I mean, the amount of experience he's got. What is that? 45 fights now Condit's got.
Yeah, I found that these guys, like Magny and Griffin, they're both similar. Like their record, like you were saying about that fight earlier, if you give them 10 more fights, it will kind of look the same in terms of record. I feel like Max would probably have a similar record to Magny a little bit later on in his career.
Yeah. He just seems to be kind of finding his rhythm now, Max does.
Yeah, taking ears as well.
Yeah, right. Ooh, that was rough. But like, I mean, you look at the losses that he's had. Like, I mean, aside from Covington stopping him in the third round, and he was just exhausted at that point. Covington had been mauling him for so long. He kept binding his wrist and smashing into him. You remember that one? Because Covington even stood up afterwards and he was like,
"Yeah,
what motherfucker?" or whatever.
Yeah, I think that was the one where he was like, the belt and stuff.
Yeah. So then you got a first round finish and then a unanimous decision loss to Zaleski dos Santos. Beat Mike Perry by decision. 2 decision losses. Curtis Melander and Alves. That Melander fight would be an interesting one to rewatch for this because they're very, very tall, both of them, aren't they? Like Curtis Melander gave him problems with his reach and his height. That's something worth thinking about. But yeah, like split decision loss to Morono. To Oliveira. Split decision loss, unanimous decision to Morono. He's just kind of stumbled, and I think that's why I underestimate him because I've seen him lose decisions a lot. But he's kind of found his rhythm now.
I think because when we were at the PI, he was there, and we spoke to him and his team for a little bit, and I think between the Oliveira and Brahimaj fight, he changed a lot in his like mindset as well. Like he got a coach in just to focus on
hypnotist,
it.
Someone to get rid of his fear of spiders.
But I remember he was talking a lot about changing a lot in like his fight camp and the mental side of things. So maybe he's had a bit of a resurgence in that respect.
That could be it.
Eating seaweed and stuff
there
like that.
Go. Yeah. There you go.
Maybe it's the seaweed.
It'll be the seaweed. That's what it is. High in chlorophyll. That's what he needed. I'm still leaning towards Neil Magny, but that's me underestimating Max Griffin again. I think Max Griffin might surprise me.
Yeah, I went for Max. I just like
You went for Max, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely going for Neil Magny then.
He's fun to watch, and he's a cool dude. I'm gonna go for Max.
Yeah, I just feel like he might. Yeah, I'm gonna make an argument for Neil Magny then. I think he might struggle with the reach of Neil Magny. Yeah, there we go. That's my assessment of it. I do really genuinely feel like I'm underestimating Max Griffin because I feel like I've done it like 3 times before already. Yeah, is the tail of the tape. So we've got 6'3" for Neil Magny, 5'11" for Max Griffin, so 4-inch height and a 4-inch reach advantage, 80 inches for Neil Magny. Yeah. I'm going Magny. Why not? Why not?
I'm gonna stick with Max. Yeah.
The thing is, like, making predictions on these kind of fights is like, who the fuck knows? Because you don't know how their week's going. You don't know whether they got food poisoning from such and such, and you know what I mean. You just don't know. You don't know whether they've got a sore throat and they're feeling kind of run down, or whether they've like fallen out with their girlfriend, or whether their neighbors stole their lawnmower. You've got no idea what's going on. True. Like, we are literally shooting in the dark here. Yeah. Like, because like these guys have been pros for a long while. Like, either one of these guys can come in and beat the other one. There's no doubt about that. 18-8, 25-8. They both know how to win. They both know how to lose. Who knows what's going to happen is the reality of it.
I feel like there's quite a lot of those fights on this card. There's a couple later on as well.
Yeah.
That are very similar, like similar records, similar experience, and I feel like it's those guys that aren't really in like the top tier of the division, but those like middle kind of guys. Yeah. And they're just fighting each other now.
Yeah. Which is some of the best fights.
Yeah.
Because they're still kind of a bit unpolished. They're still willing to take chances, and you know, they've not got a massive way to fall because they're not particularly at a great height already. You know? I think it's a good one. I think Neil Magny's gonna take it.
Yeah.
He's a very, very tough gatekeeper. I don't even think it's fair to call him that. But I will go on record to say I think I'm still underestimating Max.
Is that a term that is a bit offensive to like gatekeeper?
I don't know. I mean,
do you think it depends on where you are in your career then? If you get
like if you're like 38 and you've been alternating wins and losses for your past 12 fights, you're pretty much a gatekeeper. And I don't know as anybody that's in that position would argue that they're not, or could argue very hard that they're not. I think some people kind of settle into that role. It's not. It depends on whether the person like hearing it, whether, you know, like say Jim Miller, for example, right? Like, Jim Miller's a fucking stud. He's an animal, but he's definitely a gatekeeper because the likelihood of him having another run at the title, especially in that division, is incredibly slim.
Yeah,
it's like he's had his career, and now what he's doing is he's bringing his best toolkit to the table, and he's trying to beat every single person they put in front of him for shits and giggles.
Yeah,
you know, he's either doing that or he's hunting moose and stuff. So it doesn't really matter to Jim Miller at this point. And I think that's what makes a lot of gatekeepers really interesting when you watch them, because they do give a fuck because they want to keep winning, because they want to keep fighting. But at the same time, they're like, yeah, well, I'm not going to get to the belt.
Yeah.
You might, but I'm going to try and stop you, you know?
Like a little bit of pressure. Will you go into fights with a little bit less pressure, I
think
guess,
so.
Because, you know, like, this guy needs to beat me to get to where he wants to go, and I'm going to try and fuck that up.
Yeah. And, you know, and the other thing as well, I mean, like, gatekeeper, I think some people would feel a bit offended by it, but it actually infers like quite a strong position in the sport.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a gatekeeper, that means you've already proven to be a tough test. Mm-hmm. Like, you could have 3 losses in a row and we still know that you're going to be a motherfucker to fight. Right?
Yeah.
Like, Cowboy's always going to be a handful. You know, it doesn't matter whether he's a gatekeeper or not. Like, you could go through the list. Like, there are loads of guys that I would consider to be in that status. It's guys that, in fact, I've got the rankings here. like if you look at some of the core divisions, like lightweight, say, who we got? Like, I would say like Brad Riddell is an excellent fight to watch and a handful for most people in this division. If you find someone in the bracket of what? Well, he's ranked at 14, so 14 to 40, he's gonna wreck them. He's gonna cause problems for all of them, and he'll give everybody above him, up to maybe the top 3 or 4, a really tough test.
Yeah.
That classifies him in my mind as being a gatekeeper, but he's a tough son of a motherfucker. Like, you don't want to fight that guy. Like, I would say the Leech has kind of fallen into that category. He might not see it. He might think that at one point he's going to be a UFC champion. But it's just, I don't know, Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah.
You know, like, is he ever going to be a middleweight champion? it's doubtful for me now. Very doubtful. I don't think he's got that desire, that drive anymore. But he's a hell of a fight for a lot of the people in the middleweight division. You know, you can see where they're at based on how they do against Gastelum.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting one. Like Mystery and I were talking about the idea of a journeyman the other day, which is a different thing to a gatekeeper. Because like a gatekeeper is someone that is firmly at a good level of the sport, where only the top echelon, top 10, 15 fighters in the world get past them. Mm-hmm. Everybody else gets ruined.
Yeah.
But then a journeyman is someone that comes much earlier on in a fighter's career, and we don't really have them in MMA too much. But it's someone that's got 30 or 40 fights, but they don't come to win. They come to fight. They come to, have a run out and, like give the prospects a test in their early few fights.
Like just another body or something.
A bit, yeah, but like an educated body, like an intelligent punch bag sometimes is what they look like. But I had a friend who he was a great amateur boxer. He had, I think, and then he had 4 pro fights. I won them all, but he fought the same guy twice in his 4 fights, and then for his 5th fight, they offered him the same guy again. And I think his name's like OJ Abrams. He was a boxing journeyman in the UK, probably still fighting every weekend. And he's had like 80 fights, and he's just really awkward and very clever at not getting knocked out. Mm. But I don't think you can do it in MMA. There's too many ways to lose, you know?
Do you think... I mean, I don't know. But when you're a young fighter, you always have I assume you'd always have the dream of being champion. But do you think there's...
I don't know.
Yeah, because I was like, do you think people are like sometimes a bit more realistic in their own ability or their own... And it's like, well, I'm never going to be champion, but I'm a good fighter. I can, give a lot of people trouble. Do you think that is some people's mindset? Like,
I think all 3 apply. Like, the one that stands out, Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank, right? So Chris Eubank always believed he was going to be the world champion. Always believed he was going to be the best. Like, there was not a doubt in his mind. Nigel Benn was like, oh, I'll try and win the area title boxing. And then he won the area title, and he was like, oh, okay, I could win like the English title. And then he went and did that. Yeah. And then, you know what I mean? It was like every time he achieved a goal that he didn't think he was going to achieve in the first place, it was like, we'll have a go. And then he kept achieving until he got to the same level. And then I think there are some guys that come in. So you've got the Chris Eubanks, the McGregors, the ones that believe they're going to be absolute world champion. There's no doubt about it. The guys that continually surprise themselves because they keep setting a goal and achieving it and then just kind of keep rolling on to the next one, and then find themselves in the UFC. They're like, holy shit, would you look at this? And then you've got the guys that are like, they just want to do it. They just want to be involved. They want to have a few fights. Maybe they'll win, maybe they won't. But like their idea of their relationship with the UFC will always be as a fan. And even when they're fighting on the local circuit in front of their mates at the pub, they're still massive fans of the UFC. And that's a different bracket again. And some of those guys can actually get really good. Like they can be, brown belts, black belts in jiu-jitsu. They can have a boxing or a kickboxing background. And then they come in and they're fighting a kid that's, started MMA 2 years ago and wants to fight. And they're real problems for them, because they've got a skill set somewhere that's going to be effective. Or they're very good at losing and, they just don't get hurt so they can keep doing it.
Yeah.
But they love the run out and the photos and the atmosphere and the attention and a bit of cash, Like,
yeah.
It's, sometimes the guy losing gets paid more.
Yeah.
You know?
More ways than one.
Yeah. We kind of diverted there.
Yeah.
This next fight is so this could be a bit of a changing of the guard circumstance.
It's what
Jennifer Maia,
right?
Yeah. Because I think Jennifer Maia's kind of hit her limit. I think she's hit the point where as long as Valentina Shevchenko's in the division, that's where that's her level. Like there's maybe 2-3 fighters that are above her, and I think Shevchenko and obviously Chookagian, who's beat her twice. Mm-hmm. I think it's quite evident that that's where she's at. She would have to do a lot of work to better herself at this point. And Manon Fiorot she's ferocious, and she impresses me every time out. Like, she's got great judo. She's got very aggressive striking. Mayra Bueno Silva, I thought, was gonna be a real handful for her, and she was able to just... I mean, she just looked great all the way through the fight, I thought. I think she's going to be able to... And this is 3 rounds as well. I think she's going to be able to beat Jennifer Maia pretty comfortably.
I think Furo is just going to be way too much for her. Because the fight that I watched earlier for Manon was the Tabitha Ritchie fight.
Oh, yeah.
And I know she was like... she was coming up from 115 pounds, I think. She was strawweight, but she came in the UFC and fought Manon at flyweight. And yeah, the way she put it on, I can see just in terms of like her build and like she's short, quite, grappler. I just could see it going exactly the same way, just being way too much for in striking range and not allowing her to close distance to get the takedown.
Yeah. And then if she does, she's into judo.
Yeah.
And she's going to be hip tossing her around the octagon.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one. I think this is Manon Fiorot proving how dangerous she is against a former title contender. Like, even that Victoria Leonardo fight when she made her debut, like, the thing that stood out in Leonardo's career was the head kick knockout, and she did the same thing to her. I'm all on Manon Fiorot in this one.
Yeah, she looks good. Yeah.
Okay. We are... Main card time? Yeah, heavyweights. Now, this is a bit of a... I can't quite figure out exactly what's going to happen. Because on one side, you've got Alexei Olenek, who's, 59... Not 59 years old. 59, 16 and 1, although he might be about 59 these days. And then you've got Ilia Latifi on the other side, who's 15 and 8, who's recently moved up to heavyweight. And he was undersized height-wise for a light heavyweight. And I like his enthusiasm going up to heavyweight because he's, he has advantages up there that are, speed. He's strong and powerful, so he can contend. But against Alexei Olenek, the smart thing for him to do might be to strike, and he's not very comfortable striking. Like, if he closes Olenek down, Olenek's got so many submissions on his record, it's ridiculous. He also has that wicked Ezekiel choke that he uses, which is very unusual for MMA, but very consistent for him. Although Latifi doesn't really have much of a neck. Yeah,
he is a bit like Romero, no neck. Yeah.
So, like, although I don't know. Like, he's short, so it's going to be easier for Olenek to get his arms around him, because most likely Latifi's going to want a body lock, which makes that Ezekiel very available. But then he doesn't have much of a neck to choke.
Yeah, I think Ilia is just going to be a little bit... How much younger is he than Olenek? Not to say that he's just younger, so he's going to beat him, but I just think he's a little bit sharper.
He's 5 years younger. Olenek was born in 1977.
Yeah.
Latifi's 38.
Right. Yeah. So Olenek's 44.
Right. Okay.
I just feel that
sprightly 44.
that Ilia's got more ways to win than Olenek has. So I don't see anything I don't really see it going to... I always see it going to a decision, to be honest.
You do, yeah?
Yeah.
What, and Latifi winning?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going the opposite way. I think Olenek's going to sub him. I do. I think
that's the thing. It's like he's always got that threat, hasn't he? It's like, it's the problem for everyone. And I thought Ilia looked good in his last fight against Tanner as well, though.
Yeah.
I was surprised he won that.
Bosa doesn't move like a heavyweight. He's got good footwork. He's very, very fluid in his movement, very fast on his attack. I don't know. My concern for this one with Ilia is that Olenek's got really awkward striking. He doesn't really mind striking, but he's not bothered to. He's a little bit mechanical and a little bit awkward in the way that he does things. But he knows he needs to close distance down. And the temptation for Latifi to get that body lock is going to be so great that I think he's going to get Ezekiel'd.
Yeah.
And if Olenek can Ezekiel people from Mount Bottom, I don't know. You get near the guy, I don't think there's much hope for you.
Yeah. The other thing as well, I don't think Ilia... So I suppose when you're a fighter going into someone against like Olenek, who's like massively experienced and he's got his like wily ways of winning kind of thing. I think Elias, because he's fought that kind of top tier of fighters as well. I don't think he'll feel any kind of pressure in that respect. I think he'll
sticking with the
I think he'll be able to just cruise.
I think he'll get tired, and then old man Olenik's gonna just walk him down.
It's like the granddad award of the division.
Yeah, right. He's just such an anomaly, Olenik, and his problem is people that are big enough to hold him off and powerful enough to hurt him. And I think Ilya's powerful enough to hurt him if he chooses to strike, but I just don't think he will. I think Olenik will put himself in a position where Latifi will feel most comfortable wrestling. Then you've got 5'10" versus 6'2", and Olenik's got an 80-inch reach compared to Latifi's 73.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
There might be a. I think we might see a fatigued Latifi panicking and running into an Ezekiel.
Yeah,
I like Latifi, but this is not a good matchup for him. I don't think he's better with a striker that's got no takedown offense. That's what he'd be better with.
What? Because he's only recently moved up to heavyweight, right?
Yeah. I think 3 fights. He would have fought Volkan at light heavyweight, and then he went to Derek Lewis and lost the decision to him, and then beat Tanabosa.
Yeah.
I just think this is a bad matchup for him, just based on what Olenik does to people. I know he's on a 3-fight losing streak, but look at all of those guys, Derek Lewis, Chris Daukaus, Sergey Spivak. They're all big enough to hold him off and powerful enough to hurt him.
Yeah, and Elias on the smaller side, I guess. Yeah.
So you're going with Leah?
I'm going to stick with
wicked. Happy days. I love it. I like going the opposite ways. It makes it more interesting when I'm watching it. Okay, I'm going with Olenik. Wicked. Right, old man strength. I'm also going with old man strength in this next one as well. Matt Brown against Brian Barberena.
Yeah, this is one of those fights where just that kind of two gatekeepers almost fighting each other.
For sure.
And I know Brian's a little bit earlier on in his career than Matt, but
he's just a younger gatekeeper.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's under any illusion. I mean, he's 16-8. I don't think anybody's under any illusion that he's gonna get to a title shot anytime soon. He's just he gets outmatched. I mean, you put him in there against Usman. It's not it's a different sport. That is, it's a different sport. That Matt Brown is violent enough to cause Barberena problems. I think Barberena can maul the majority of people, but Matt Brown has a violence within him that I think it just overrides any of those kind of circumstances. Just putting himself in positions where he can brutalize people, and the times he struggles is when he's dealing with someone that's quite slick. You remember that how Cowboy knocked him out.
Yeah,
that's a head kick. I don't expect anything like that from Barberena. I think it's going to be a mauling that's not quite as effective as the mauling that he's going to get from Matt Brown.
Yeah, I did pick Matt.
Yeah,
because of that reason, the violence,
the elbows.
Yeah, that I watched the Diego Sanchez one earlier again.
Yeah,
that was nasty,
crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think he's got that killer kind of instinct a little bit. I mean, Brian's a savage though. Yeah, it was a tough one to call, but yeah, I'm gonna go for Matt.
Yeah. See, Brian's a backyard fighter. Matt's a barroom fighter.
Yeah,
right. Backyard fighter doesn't mind getting dusty and muddy. A barroom fighter's going to hit you with an ashtray. Although maybe not these days because ashtrays are illegal. I'd have a lot less lumps on my head, Jamie, if smoking was illegal in pubs. Let me tell you that. Anyway, apparently, according to UFC stats, they're the same height. I don't believe that. I imagine Matt Brown's going to look bigger. He's got a 3-inch height advantage. A 3-inch reach advantage, but yeah, I don't know. Matt's actually got better stats grappling as well. He's got a 44% takedown accuracy compared to Barberena, who's 25, and he's got 64% takedown defense compared to 58 for Barberena, and a higher amount of submissions per minute and more takedowns per minute. Yeah, I think Matt Brown's going to do it.
Yeah, same here. I think he was saying, when you get to that point, I guess he's going in there. Both of these guys are just just want to fight each other and just have a really good competition. Yeah.
They're there to make a bit of money, hopefully a bonus. And then see what happens next. Maybe they'll fight again, maybe they won't. I love it. Okay. Moving on. Askarov against Kai Kara-France.
Right. I thought this could have been a main event, to be honest.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. I think there's a concern within the UFC that Askarov's a bit boring.
Oh, see, what, in terms of his like fighting style?
Yeah.
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 The thing I love about him, and it's similar to why I like Figueiredo. The only difference is I think Figueiredo's is a little bit more of an act, but I think Askarov, he's just got this like serial killer kind of deadpan look in his eyes.
I think he's the only deaf fighter on the UFC roster, isn't he?
Right, yeah.
That must be a challenge. For coaching and cornering.
Is it like totally deaf or?
I don't know whether it is totally, whether he's completely deaf or not, but I do know that he is definitely hearing impaired.
Yeah.
A decent amount for it to be mentioned.
Yeah. I feel like that would probably give you a little bit of a. I don't know.
I mean, you can't hear your corner team, and you can't. I mean, most there's a lot of bad cornering that goes on, so that might not be a bad thing. But I don't know. There are moments where corner teams are really massively useful, even in the rounds, and that's something that he doesn't have. Then the other thing as well is like this is a fight where the referee's really going to need to be on point to get involved, because he's not going to be able to hear the end of the round. He might be able to, in fact, but I remember Matt Hamill not being able to hear the bell going off, and him continuing striking at Bisping on the Ultimate Fighter, and Bisping being like, as,
Yeah, I mean, it might even, because you can't hear critique, you might be a lot more self-aware, so you've got to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
So you might have much more of a depth in terms of how you see yourself fighting, and how you think about it.
Yeah. Might be far more considered because he's not as distracted about what's going on around him.
I do think he's got that like killer kind of look.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he could be a KGB agent. His nickname is the Bullet as well, Okay. So he's 14-0-1. His only blemish is a draw against Brandon Moreno. He's got really good wins on his record. Tim Elliott, Pantoja, Joe Benavidez. He came over from ACB and he was winning. He was subbing everybody. Rear naked chokes, anacondas. He's got a twister on his record, guillotines. He has got finishes by TKO as well. On the other hand, Kai Kara-France is 23-9 and has really, really slick striking. Very, very dangerous. Hands and feet. Good Muay Thai all the way through. Does get tangled up a little bit sometimes, a little bit. He gets into those like scurrying exchanges like he did against Brandon Royval and got his neck tangled. This is a fight that's going to test his discipline and his maturity, because he's the younger fighter coming in, even though he's got more experience, right? I think Askarov's a little bit older.
Kai's 28.
And Askarov is 29. Oh yeah, he's a lot older. I don't know. I feel like the maturity of Askarov's game is very evident, and I feel like Kai he still likes to fight. There's still a bit of a scrappy kid in him, That might get him in trouble a bit here.
Yeah,
because he might overextend himself, and you don't want to be dealing with Askarov in any range really. He's just a fucking nightmare.
Do you think this is the fight that's going to determine the next, title shot?
For sure. This is. I think this has been kind of positioned for Askarov to get another win before he gets put in for a title shot.
Right.
Yeah. Like, because if you look at, the rankings, you can see in the rankings that this is like, it's a good way off. There's a good difference between the two of them. Where are we? So Askarov's at number 2. Oh no, Kai Kara-France at number 6 now. It's a big ask. It's a big jump. Like, there's no reason for Askarov to fight anybody lower than him right now. It's just, he's already in a position for a title shot. I just think it's because he's been out a little while, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think about a year or so.
It is a year almost, exactly, yeah. Last time he was out was Benavidez. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Kai Kara-France. I like his fighting style, but this is going to be a real test of his maturity because I think he's going to have to be on point with his takedown defense.
Yeah, I want Kai to win.
Yeah,
but I think Askarov's going to win.
Yeah. So 2-inch height advantage for Askarov, but a 2-inch reach advantage for Kai Kara-France. 87% takedown defense for Kai Kara-France as well, which is significant. 28% takedown accuracy for Askarov. But then his average fight time is 15 minutes. You know, like that's kind of what he does. He like drowns people. Yeah, it's just I'm picking Askarov. I'm picking Askarov because I think he's just destined to be in there for a title fight. But I know why he's not getting the opportunities, and it's the same reason why I'm like, I kind of want Kai to win, because Kai's like, yeah, this is going to be a banger. Askarov, I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this technically? You know what I mean? It's that kind of fight, and it's not
for sure.
Like as a fan, especially after I've marched my way through 8 fights already. Like it gets to this one, and I'm like, I'm going to see someone really exciting get drowned here. That's my concern.
Yeah, I think Kai might come into this, though, knowing that he's like a really big underdog. And I wasn't expecting him to do what he did to Cody either.
But Cody's a banger as well. Like he takes a lot of risks as well. He gets drawn in. Like that's Askarov's not going to do that. That's why he's undefeated. Like that draw on his record must anger him so much.
Yeah.
And if he wins this, he potentially gets to fight the guy again.
So he's not going to take any risks, really, is he? Yeah.
No chance. No chance.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Kai.
Oh, yeah. Good for you, man. Good for you. Pick Kai. I'm going with Askarov. I think it's going to be a 3-round decision, and Kai's going to be really frustrated at the end of it. Yeah. Okay, co-main event. Joanne Wood, formerly Calderwood, against Alexa Grasso. So 15-7 for Joanne Wood, 13-3 for Alexa Grasso. Now, this could be a really fun striking match because Joanne Wood has got really good Muay Thai. She's got a great teep. She's got really nice, clean boxing combinations. And Alexa Grasso's got good footwork, good low kicks, and good boxing combinations. When we see Joanne Wood struggle, it's when she's grounded, taken down. And Alexa Grasso also has that potential to be able to do that.
Because would she fight Esparza, was it? Mm-hmm. She only lost a decision against her before she moved up. Because, was it her last 2 fights? She's moved up to flyweight.
I believe so. Ji-Young Kim.
Yeah.
And Macy Barber.
Yeah, because she looked pretty strong against Macy Barber. Mm-hmm. And like Macy Barber's pretty. I think she's quite big for the weight class.
And so's Ji-Young Kim. I thought she looked undersized against both of them, to be honest. But then I think a big part of the reason why she moved up and why she felt like she was inconsistent as a strawweight was because like she was struggling against the scales a lot. Like that was a big part of fight week for her was making weight.
Yeah, it was interesting because the fight. I watched the Macy Barber fight earlier, and it was Felder on the commentary saying that a few fighters told him that when they go up a weight class, they tend to walk around less weight than their previous weight class because I don't know whether it's like the body. Like I think it was Pettis told him or something that he couldn't hold the weight even though he was fighting at a higher weight class. Yeah, it was weird.
It is weird, but it's like the body does really odd things. Like it's weirdly, like bad, like cheat meals work really well when you're dieting. And the way I had explained to me, because like back in the day, we used a lot of bodybuilding logic. There was a lot of stuff that came from people that was like, oh, this is how you get really, really ripped. And I'm like, I'm not bothered about how ripped I am. I just want to make sure I'm light enough to make the weight class. You know what I mean? Like, obviously being lean's a bonus, but like it was about losing weight more than anything. And there were loads of like little tricks that, because I used to work with bodybuilders and I used to train around them and stuff, and they always had something. And the cheat meal thing. So I started off, I would have a cheat day and it would be a Saturday. But I would choose a Saturday because I knew I would have 6 hours of training, so there'd be less time to eat loads and loads of shit. So by the time it did come to eat, I was already exhausted and ready for loads of calories. And these were the days when Jimmy and I would sometimes get together and just fucking devastate, like pizzas and Chinese fucking lemon fried chicken, and it was just amazing. We'd just like gorge, and then we'd feel like death. We'd wake up on Sunday and we'd be lighter. I'm like, how the fuck has this happened?
Yeah.
And then I switched it to have a bit more discipline and just went to like a cheap meal. And I would have like one on a Wednesday and one on a Saturday. And always it was like the body knew that you were dieting. It knew that it was being limited of calories. So then there are automatic mechanisms that switch into place. Like if you're dehydrated, something that happens is your body starts to retain water and dehydrate yourself because there's like a panic. Like same way of storing calories. Like if your body like it's difficult to lose weight when you're not taking any calories in.
Right.
So sometimes people diet too much.
Yeah.
So I think that's what was I think that's what was probably happening to him. He was probably leaner and healthier as a welterweight because he was just eating more because he felt like he could.
Right.
So therefore his body's metabolism is cooking at a higher rate, which means you can throw more food on the bonfire and it just keeps burning.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if I had like a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday where I was really calorie restricted, like, you know, porridge in the morning and then no carbs after 2 p.m. was usually what I would do. Then like by the time I woke up the next morning, I was like, fuck, I'm really hungry. I'd eat breakfast, that'd be gone in a second, and then I've got a full more day of training. So then you get to this like calorie deficit where your body's like just give us whatever, just feed us.
Yeah.
And then you have this massive cheat meal and your body goes, oh, brilliant. Everything feels replenished. You wake up the next morning and you look fucking huge and like all that sugar's rushed into the muscles and stuff. And I remember Anderson Silva always used to have 2 Big Macs before, like on a Wednesday before fight week. And a lot of, like one of my friends, Bill, I used to work with, he used to have 2 Big Macs and a bottle of red wine.
Yeah.
Right before he went to compete. Obviously, competing, they're doing like the routine.
Yeah.
But he would eat red wine. Yeah, well, it's for dehydration, so it like makes you look leaner. Like if I drink a glass of red wine, my cheeks are dry the next morning. It's fucking not good for you. But anyway, yeah. So it's weird. It's like sometimes moving up a weight class, actually, you find yourself in a healthier state but lighter.
Yeah.
Is what we were talking about before I fucking threw it off on a mad tangent.
Yeah, it's interesting, man.
I just feel like Alexa Grasso might be able to just out MMA her.
Yeah.
You know? Like I've never seen that development in Joanne's game where she looks formidable off her back. You know? It's always been the problem, the thing that she struggles with. What was it? Her UFC debut, Marina Moroz, armbar, 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Have you got the same
I
thing?
had Grasso, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think she's a little bit like she's on that trajectory now. She's moved up, and it's been a year I think since she fought Macy, so she might have grown in. Well, she might feel even more comfortable at that weight class now. Yeah. And I can just see her, like you said, like out MMA and just keeping it too mixed for her. Like I keep wanting to call her Calderwood. Like Jojo, she is very, very good at Muay Thai, and if Grasso just kind of stands there wanting to box with her, then she's gonna find herself on the ends of front kicks and knees, and you know Jojo steps in really nicely with elbows as well, so she could catch her with something like that. But Grasso's constantly moving; she's constantly got that side to side movement, which makes it difficult for Jojo to pick a target. And there's been a few times where Jojo's like stomped forward with a teep and like she's missed. They're the moments where Grasso's going to step in and either, clinch her or strike her. Yeah. Yeah.
I think so. I think Grasso's going to do it. I think a decision, though. I think it's going to be a decision.
Yeah.
Let me just have a quick look at the tail of the tape to see where we're at. So, I mean, there's an inch either way. So Jojo's 5'6", so she's got an inch height advantage, but Grasso's got a 66-inch reach, which is an inch longer than Jojo's. So it's pretty even. Pretty even. Yeah, I'm sticking with my pick. Okay. Well, that was co-main, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
so we're on to the main
event.
Okay, this is a really interesting one. I'm a big fan, as you know, of Chris Daukaus. I'm a big fan of the Daukaus brothers, to be honest. But Chris Daukaus is far more effective with his skill set at heavyweight than his brother is. And I think it's based on the fact that he's very quick. You know, he's really quick for a heavyweight. The question is, what does he look like off his back? Because I know he's a black belt. So that might be a deterrent for Curtis Blaydes to take him down. He's also a great boxer, so Curtis Blaydes has kind of got to make that decision. Do I want to stand and deal with his boxing, or do I want to put him on the floor and try not to get subbed? And then the question is, what does Chris Daukaus look like off his back? Because I think Blaydes is going to be able to take him down.
Yeah, I think that's like... Well, I can just see it as a bit of an inevitable thing that Blaydes is going to... He's definitely going to go for it, and I think he probably will be able to do it. But like I said, I wouldn't know what Chris is like off his back.
I mean, he's just like, I think he's going to be a handful, but there's a difference in being a good heavyweight grappler and then trying to submit someone that's got the wrestling of Curtis Blaydes.
Yeah,
like the best thing for him to do would be to try and defend the takedowns as much as he can and try and hurt him on the feet. Like, then there's opportunities to attack his neck when he's scrambling to try for a takedown and he's already hurt. There might be an opportunity to catch it there. But the difference in wrestling at heavyweight and in the lighter weight classes, I was thinking about this when I was watching him fight Rosenstrike earlier, and DC was talking about it. Like, big guys fall over very differently.
Yeah,
like they just topple, you know. And like Curtis Blaydes has to take like 3 steps to cross the octagon. Whereas like a wrestler from flyweight would have to like practically sprint.
Yeah.
It's just a very different thing. I think his momentum is just going to carry him through Chris Daukaus, and as long as he's clearing the legs as he's going, he's straight into a wrestling situation, and that's where he beats him. He might just maul him like he has done other people. I mean, like he did against Rosenstrike in his last one.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed in his fight against Rosenstrike, because the fight before that was Derek Lewis one where he got like uppercut.
Yeah,
that was and I think he learnt a lot from that, because I noticed in the Rosenstrike fight he was like feinting a little bit more. He seemed a little bit more developed in the striking range.
Yeah. He was like feinting with the jab before level change.
And like switching stance and stuff and. Yeah, he just seemed like that was an area of game he'd worked on since the Derek Lewis thing. Plus, I think if he takes him down, the elbows and the ground strikes as well, there's a big guy to get off you.
Yeah, he is, for sure. The one argument that I will make for Chris Daukaus is, I mean, he has got great boxing. He's got very, very slick hands and he's very fast. And I know that I can see by the way he throws that he's very considered. So he's going to be looking for those opportunities to hit Curtis Blaydes in the same positions that Derek Lewis caught him with that uppercut. The other thing that Daukaus is very good at is with knees, though. And, you know, anytime Curtis Blaydes is level changing, if he's able to get that frame across his shoulders there, get that tie clinch, it might give him enough space to be able to drive a knee in. It's going to be difficult to do. I mean, the most likely thing is he's going to get toppled over throwing knees. But... you know, I mean, he stopped Olenek standing with knees and punches. I don't know. I'd like to pick Chris Daukaus because I like his style. I like the confidence that he has in his boxing, and like Daukaus against Aspinall would be a banger of a fight.
Yeah,
you know.
You think it's a shame because those fights would be, but do you think they'll actually ever fight now? Just in terms of like how. Daukaus is. If Daukaus loses against Blaydes, then it will just kind of they'll cross over
maybe,
and they won't get a chance to have that fight.
Like what's most likely? So, like if you look at the guys on, so like Chris Daukaus' record, for example, right? He came in against Parker Porter. I can never not fuck up his name. I always want to say something else. Anyway, he's kind of like a middle of the range, like, you know, like. 66% wins, 33% losses. That's his record. That's kind of, you know, typical. Then he came in against Nascimento, who's 8-0, but was just not ready for that kind of fight. But then after that, he fought Olenek and Abdurahimov. So he's fought 2 guys that in 2 years' time are probably not even going to be in the division anymore. They're going to be retired. Derek Lewis, how many fights has he got left? 3, 4 maybe.
Yeah.
Like Curtis Blaydes is going to be here for a while. He's not had nearly as many fights as a lot of these guys. Like Derek Lewis has got loads of fights, loads of experience. Abdurrahimov 25 fights. Olenik's got ridiculous numbers. I feel like if you look at the next generation of heavyweights, I think a lot of these guys are going to be around in years to come. I think Daukaus is one of them. Like the heavyweight division right now, I can see like Spivak could potentially be around. He's very problematic. Aspinall will be around. Daukaus will still be around. Taito Avasa is going to still be around. Like Cyril Gann, obviously. There's like a crop of young heavyweights, and I think we might see those fights. They might have to get through some of these gatekeepers kind of veterans first, of which Curtis Blaydes is not, but he did struggle with Derek Lewis, who's a top flight gatekeeper.
Yeah, yeah.
Still with the potential to win.
Well,
still with the potential to beat the champ.
That's the thing. Like, if I was gonna like that, if Curtis and Derek fought again, I would still pick Curtis.
Yeah,
because I just think he's an all round better fighter. Like Derek Lewis he has just got that power advantage. Like most knockouts
ever.
Yeah, ever. I mean.
It's like nothing else he does looks particularly athletic. Yeah. Like he's got, it's amazing that he can do flying knees and jumping high kicks and stuff. And his takedown offense is surprisingly very good.
It's not calculated like flying knees. It's just
just like whatever. Yeah, I mean, Derek Lewis is always going to be a handful. But Chris Daukaus is a very well trained heavyweight in different ranges, and I think it's a different problem for Curtis Blaydes because like Blaydes struggles with guys that are just like can massively hurt him with one punch.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Ngannou twice and Derek Lewis are his losses.
Pretty
sure that's right.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to look at Chris Daukaus and think to himself, that's the same kind of problem. But I think in the opening 30 seconds, he's already going to be thinking about a takedown. Especially if he's starting to get peppered with those fast hands, because then it's like fast hands from Daukaus starts to stifle him. Then he level changes, and Daukaus can either switch to the uppercut, throw the knee, or attack the neck. Like they're the threats for Curtis Blaydes, but most likely he's going to be able to plow through him every time he tries to take him down. Then it's about what Chris Daukaus looks like on the floor.
Yeah, one thing I would think that because he looked good against Rosenstruik, but I felt like Rosenstruik gave him so much time to be able to do that.
He does though. He does. Yeah. Rosenstruik does. Like I mean, you think back to his Overeem fight when he's like just kind of hanging back against the fence and allowing Overeem to kind of do what he wants, and then 5 seconds left, he punches him and it's done.
Yeah. I don't think Chris is going to give him that time. But I just think if Curtis gets hold of him and he just holds him down.
Yeah. Yeah. So where's Chris's head at coming off that big knockout loss, do you reckon? I mean, it's not the first time he's been knocked out, but it was certainly an impression. It was an impression that would.
Yeah, remain. I mean, he doesn't strike me as the type of character to like lose confidence because of that. Because getting knocked out by Derek Lewis isn't the most unobvious thing that could happen to you. So I think he was smart enough to realise that and not really think much into it.
I don't think he's going to see Curtis Blaydes as being that problem either.
Exactly, yeah. So I think he'll be more confident in other aspects, I guess, going into it. Yeah. But I'm going to go for Curtis.
Yeah. I think it's the logical way to go. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll be pleasantly surprised, though, if Chris Daukaus is able to do some stuff off his back. You know, I don't know what his guard's going to look like, but yeah, I feel like Curtis Blaydes is going to be able to nullify the majority of it. Yeah, for sure. Interesting one. Right.
Yeah, man.
Nice
card.
Before we sign off, and thanks all for joining us, check out our sponsors. So Pact Coffee, that's PACT coffee.com, where you can create your flexible coffee subscription. You can use the code OUTLAWED50, outlawed with the ED on the end. And if you use that at checkout, you'll get the discount, a 50% discount on your first and third orders. And as I said before, you can get it ground depending on how you drink your coffee, AeroPress, cafetiere. espresso machine, etc., etc. So go to packcoffee.com and create your subscription. Outlawed 50. And also fullreptile.co.uk. Go on there and grab t-shirts, hoodies, hats, all kinds of stuff. That, this, one of these, whatever you like. We've got all of it. Go and grab some. We got a code? We ain't got a code, have we? Dan says so. Dan says so. There'll be a code. I don't know what it'll be, but we'll figure it out. All right. Nice one.
Nice one, man.
Catch you next time.